It's album of the year. It's album of the year. I don't care what anybody says.
Two of the other biggest albums coming out this year.
Don't care. I'm not listening to Certified Lover Boy. I have Drake blocked on Spotify, so I won't be listening to that.
He hates Drake, yet he's wearing the 808s and Heartbreak hat, which is just Kanye Drake.
Listen, man. Listen, it's my only like Kanye apparel, so I have to wear it. And I know you're gonna be like, "Wow, fake fan. You only have one piece of Kanye apparel."
That's not what I was thinking. Is nobody a fake fan?
I know what you're thinking. No.
Listen. Donda is album of the year. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite and the two greatest co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. How are you guys today?
I'm wonderful.
I was going to say the same thing. Took the words right out of my mouth.
You could have said it at the same time, and then like one of you could have jinxed the other.
Oh, I have one thing. I'm a little bit tired. There was last night outside my apartment. It was 2:30 a.m. and I start hearing this bass. I'm like, what is that noise? I look outside and a bunch of no, it wasn't Donda. No, not everything is Donda. I look outside. I wish it was Donda because this music was not as good as Donda. And I look outside and it's a rap group recording a music video. It's like 3 a.m. on a Monday. I was like, what are you guys doing? I don't care if you were Donda. Like, what are you doing outside my bike? It could be Kanye himself trying to shoot an album cover. I'd be like, what are you doing outside my apartment? I'm trying to sleep. So I'm a little bit tired, but I am good.
Understandable. Well, we have a pretty jam-packed episode. We're going to go over some NFL news. We're going to hop into some college football. You guys have been asking for it, so figured about time to deliver. And then we're going to end it off with a bit of a Donda breakdown. I'm really excited. Our producer actually made Donda the third segment on this episode just to spite me, right? Just so that I couldn't talk about Kanye and Donda for 2 hours on today's podcast. So if you're wondering why this podcast isn't 2 hours long, it's not my fault. Matt, you know I could talk about Donda all day.
You keep saying, I forget on which song, you're like, the beat drop is generational.
Heaven and hell. Heaven and hell. The drop is generational.
It's generational. You just like made up a word to describe it, man. What are we talking about? It's the only
beat drop on Donda. Anyway, this is stuff that should be at the end.
Yes, we won't be talking about Donda yet, as much as I would love to, and maybe I should just force it to happen anyway. But if you guys haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a review, comment, all the great stuff that you've been doing. Keep helping grow this podcast on all platforms, and make sure you follow @StayHotPod on TikTok for more great content coming there as well. So yeah, big Kanye fan here. We'll talk about Donda later. You guys are Kanye fans too. I'm just like obsessed with Kanye.
You won't say anything bad about it. You won't say anything bad about
the other segments, man. We can't talk about Kanye this time.
All right, fine. Well, before we hop into the NFL news, Matt, you wanted to quickly touch on Larry Nance to the Blazers.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's more Lauri Markannen to the Cavs, I guess. That's like the main piece of the trade, but I really hate that move so much. And usually I try to see like the good of every trade. I really do. But Markkanen, you're giving up. Larry Nance, who's a very strong player. He's not just some nobody. To pay Lauri Markannen $16 million as a big who I don't trust to do any of the things I need my big to do. And it's a guy who hasn't consistently stayed healthy. He's consistently gotten injured. I don't understand the move. Plus, you already have Mobley and Allen, and I get, you can throw Markkanen in there. There's only three bigs, then it's like you can make that work. But I don't know. I get they needed more spacing. I think it's an overpay. I think that he's rough defensively. He has not been consistently that amazing on offense, so I don't like it.
The Bulls, though, I mean, you look at that three-team deal and you look at what everyone got, and then you look at the Bulls and you're like, damn, they kind of cleaned up. And that's just kind of consistent with their entire offseason. It's like the Bulls are scary.
That move was so strong for them. Because, I mean, in a sign and trade, getting back a first for a guy who had taken so long to get signed, crazy good value. And then they got Derrick Jones Jr. as well, who is not a bad player at all.
I like Derrick Jones Jr. because he goes off on 2K for me. So big Derrick Jones Jr.
Do you guys remember that one dunk he had where he like that's why he just like threw it into
Yeah, no,
that's one of my favorite.
He didn't even like dunk it. He just he spiked it like a football through the net.
It's like Rob Gronkowski. Nice.
And then for Portland, it's fine. It's whatever. Larry Nance Jr. is a very solid player. Does kind of move him in the right direction, but it's probably not a big enough move for me to drastically change my opinion on them. Right. But I can't be mad at it.
All right. Well, if you have any other final thoughts on that trade, or no, is that it? That's all you got, Matt?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, time to hop in to some NFL offseason, preseason news. First things first, J.K. Dobbins tore his ACL, and this has kind of been a very common theme. There have been an absurd amount of injuries, it feels like, this offseason, to the point where I think a lot of people are leaning very anti-preseason for the future.
I don't know if there's many like preseason fans, but they're in the mud right now.
But I don't know if there was anyone that was like, we can keep the preseason.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it's super disappointing. J.K. Dobbins might be like the most talked about NFL player on this podcast. We love him here.
Yeah.
And I really, really believe he was going to go have a crazy season. So it sucks. Ravens should be fine. Gus Edwards is a very solid player. And I think I kind of expect him to try to go get another guy here.
I've heard Todd Gurley has been...
I heard that they weren't interested in Todd Gurley.
Really?
I heard specifically they said no Todd Gurley because people were saying it. And here's the thing about preseason. I'm not anti-preseason because I think guys need a chance to, rookie guys. Jordan Love didn't get a preseason last year. Mm-hmm. It's just good to get some reps in, so you're not like football week 1 of last year was really bad. And the offenses were putting up points left and right just because the defenses were just kind of a mess. I think it's good to get some real life game reps. But starting your starters is, especially the third
especially
game.
The running back.
Yeah. Right.
Especially the running back.
It's dumb. Like, how many preseason games have the Ravens won in a row? They've won 20. All of 20-something preseason games in a row. Nice job, guys. And at what cost now? You just injured your dude. So, I mean, I might put up some starters for a drive, maybe. Just a snap, a snap. Joe Burrow came in through his screen pass. He was out of there. I don't know. I just don't. I think it's good to get reps for some of the depth players because you don't want them to be totally. You put them in and they've never had one before, but it's not worth it to put your starters in.
Yeah, the other backfield that I've been looking at is the Patriots right now with J.J. Taylor and Stevenson and White and then Harris. I don't know if they can keep 4 running backs. I wonder if one of those guys is on the move. I don't know if they necessarily fit what the Ravens want to do with them, but it wouldn't be impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And worst case scenario, it's not even about getting a fit. You just want another body in there at this point.
Yeah, you need another guy there. And if we want to talk about the fantasy implications of this, I feel I feel similar to the way I felt about Henderson as I do with Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards is a good running back. I don't dislike him, but I think you're going to have to draft him at a value right now as people are assuming that there's no other running back on the Ravens that they're going to add. And I'm not confident they're not going to. So you could get him and then all of a sudden the Ravens get another guy and his touches really don't go up as much as they're being projected to right now. So if you get good value on him, because he's not a bad running back, and then, go ahead. He was fantasy relevant before this.
I might call the Tampa Bay Buccaneers about Ronald Jones. That's probably what I would call for.
They have a lot of guys too.
They hate Ronald Jones because he can't catch. He got benched so many times last year for having bad hands, and Leonard Fournette and Giovanni Bernard are there. I wonder if they would part with Ronald Jones.
That's a great call because the Ravens really don't pass to their running backs nearly as much. So it would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense.
Yes. I don't know
as far as fantasy goes, Matt, Gus Edwards ADP is 37th among running backs.
That can't be updated.
Yeah, I don't know if that is updated.
There's no way.
Yeah, because it's
I did a couple of mock drafts the other day. He's not going at 37 right now. He's a starting running back for the best running team in the league at the moment.
Yeah, totally. That's
But I don't know. Maybe there is a world where it's just they run him a lot because they don't trust who they have behind him, Justice Hill, and they just don't have another good guy to add. It wouldn't be impossible.
Yeah, if they can't make a move, then it wouldn't be the worst pickup in the world. I just don't know if I would take him at like, second round or anything like that.
No, well, he's not even going that high right now.
Okay, yeah. So I wouldn't worry too much about Gus Edwards in fantasy, but Jameis Winston was named the starter for the Saints. And as I think that's, kind of what we expected here, was that Jameis would be named the starter.
Yes, that's what we wanted to happen.
Well, and it's like, what are you going to, you're going to start Taysom Hill?
You know what, with the Drew Lock thing, it feels nice to win one. We get the more exciting guys starting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's going to do all right.
I think so too. I think it should be kind of a black mark on Sean Payton's record for even entertaining the idea that their backup tight end should be in a quarterback competition with a first overall pick that threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. Like, just say that out loud. Backup tight end or first overall pick who at one point threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. I don't even care about the picks. Like, if you're talented enough to throw 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, you're better than Taysom Hill, because Taysom Hill is not that guy.
And I don't think he's throwing 30 interceptions this year.
No, because he didn't before. Like, it was a weird year. Like, he always had an interception kind of problem, but it showed up in like 11, 15, like 16 interceptions. And then like 30, like one of those is an outlier. So
Arians is also known for kind of putting his quarterbacks in a position to throw more interceptions than usual. I remember Andrew Luck had like 40 turnover worthy plays or something as a rookie.
Yeah. That was about to say. Arians had the same issue with Luck.
With Winston, it depends on when Michael Thomas comes back, but I see the Saints in kind of the 7 to 10 win range in that area.
Yeah. I am kind of worried that his receivers are not super, super strong. But I think we've said this 100 times. He can stretch the ball down the field in a way that Drew Brees definitely could not towards the end of his career.
That pass to Callaway that he hit in the end zone off play action 50 yards was the longest pass that a Saints quarterback has completed in the preseason, postseason, at any point since 2016.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy, crazy stat. So the Saints hopefully are going to look totally different, or at least a little bit different. But it's hard to project how that offense is going to look going from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston, maybe the two least alike quarterbacks in the NFL.
It is going to be a difficult switch, I think. I don't know if 7 to 10 is very realistic. I think that's very hopeful.
Is 0?
Listen, man.
Sean Payton's record with backup quarterbacks is good. It's good. And Jameis Winston is a starter.
Sean Payton is a very good coach. My thing is like, no, I'm not going to give them 0 wins. I
once said before.
I have updated my predictions for them. I think I have them getting like 6 or 7. I think is about where you're looking for them. It's just like, they don't have that much depth anywhere.
Well, no, actually, that's not true. And I gave them 7 wins, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm going to put it higher. I think I actually like it now more than I'm thinking about it, because I think MT could be back. I think Callaway is legit good. They have one of the best offensive lines in football, maybe the very best. Alvin Kamara, and the defense is quite good. So, honestly, I looked at the wide receiver depth. I'm like, it's Jameis throwing to nobody. That can't be good. I'm thinking about it more now, and it's like, I don't know if MT is back at week
I just think it matters when you can rotate guys. The Saints can't rotate anybody.
How often does that happen?
Can you name their first 3 wide receivers going into week 1?
That's Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, and Deontay Harris, I think. And Troutman, if you count the tight end.
He's now. But I mean, like,
and I don't even know if Michael Thomas, I'm pretty sure, is supposed to miss the first like 6 games.
At worst. He could be back after week 3. Anyway, I do think that they picked the right guy with Jameis. I'm thinking about the Saints more. I like them a little bit more than I did. I'm a serial mind changer. I hate how much I change my mind, but I am kind of changing my mind. I'm a little bit more optimistic.
I do know, Harris has some nice plays, and I liked Traquan Smith coming out of college, but that is really shallow.
Yeah,
to start this season,
it is really shallow.
And, Jameis is a guy who, last time he was starting, he was playing with Mike Evans and Godwin, and now it's going to be a little bit different. So I don't know. We'll have to see with them. They're definitely a weird middle ground team. I can kind of see it breaking both ways. But Peyton's record with backup quarterbacks makes me hopeful for them.
Yeah, that is the one thing. And it's kind of the same thing with the Steelers, with Mike Tomlin. Like, as much as you want to root against them, Tomlin's never had a losing record.
As much as you want to root against him, I don't care either way.
As much as I want, well, it's like, okay, you look at like Ben Roethlisberger, how much faith do you have in him? But like their defense is awesome, and Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record, so it's really hard to, to say that they won't be very good. But moving on from teams that we're kind of unsure about. Actually, no, we're moving into another team that we're unsure about. Minshew to the Eagles. We are sure about one thing with Philly is that they hate Jalen Hurts.
Yep. This is exactly why we didn't want people to draft him in fantasy, because now I like Jalen Hurts, but he's got to have so little room to work here. Minshew is. I'm not like Minshew needs to be a starter somewhere, but he's a very solid backup. And if the team starts to lose a couple of games and Hurts has a couple of rough throws, Minshew could be in there very, very easily.
I mean, Minshew must have looked good enough in practice for Urban Meyer to be like, Lawrence, I'm not sure he's our starter until crazy late. And maybe that was just politics, but like Minshew's touchdown to interception ratio is like 37 to like 14 or something ridiculous like that. It's like, again, he'll push. If Hurts struggles, I think that they'll. I mean, Hurts struggled and they put in Nate Sudfeld like it was nothing. Like it's like Gardner Minshew. I think Gardner Minshew's
they will do literally anything to bench Jalen Hurts.
Full disclosure, I think Gardner Minshew is worse than the average person tends to think of him. He had a deep shot in the preseason in the game against the Saints that died after about 45, 50 yards. And like I can throw up 45, 50 yards. Like he just does not have the arm strength to be an elite quarter, to be a starter.
Theo Ash arm strength.
That's what I was like, this dude Theo's metric for how good a quarterback is whether or not he can throw further than him. Does he have the
Theo Ash NFL arm or not?
But that is his big problem. He's not a bad quarterback, but he doesn't stretch the field particularly well.
Yeah. Anyway, they hate Hurts, and now that you've got a guy, I could definitely see them benching him for. It was weird too that Hurts didn't play the second preseason game because he was sick. He was like out that game unexpectedly, but he was dancing around and warming up in practice in like before the game. And then he was there in uniform dancing around in warm-ups. And then it's just weird stuff. And like maybe there's a valid reason for all of it. It's just like on top of all these things on top of each other is like,
Eagles are a little goofy right now.
They are a little bit silly. They're in a silly, goofy mood when it comes to Jalen.
They're very silly at the moment.
Yeah, they're very silly. They're feeling very silly.
Silly Philly. But on top of teams being silly, Kyle Shanahan decided to do something a little bit silly.
A little bit crazy.
A little bit. Two quarterbacks. You know, how we feel. This reminds me, was it Northwestern that would always do this? Where they would go and they would just like have two quarterbacks, or like Wisconsin would do it, where they would just have two quarterbacks. It feels kind of like that.
Yeah, some of these like Big Ten schools would pull it out every once in a while when they had like zero good quarterbacks. They'd be like, "What do we put both of them out there?" I personally, I'm just against this. I have a hard. Shanahan was probably just like goofing around. Honestly, he's like, "Let's just try this. What the hell?" I don't think we're gonna see week one just like two quarterbacks out there or this type of stuff. But I mean, I don't think it actually works long term in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's an inefficiency to not have your best quarterback out there every single snap. Like, if you feel one guy's better than the other. Now, I can kind of see it in that when you're preparing, like I think of the Big Ben video where Jimmy Garoppolo has his, like maybe there's some tendency that he has that NFL teams really zone in on, where it's like, when this happens, he does this. When this happens, he does this. And that's what they look at all week. And when you might get two guys, that just kind of doubles your workload. So maybe you can catch him by surprise a little bit. I can see that being in like the red zone. If you really think that Lance isn't there mentally, but he is there physically, you can put him in like inside the 5 because he just has to, power his way through things. I can see it like that. But the way the 49ers were approaching it in their preseason game was a little bit more than I would expect for them to do in the preseason. I can't see the benefit a little bit, but I don't is outweighed by the fact that if you don't have your quarterback your best quarterback out there all the time, like
I wonder how much of it was just him trying to keep his week one opponent on their toes and not tipping his hand on which quarterback was going to play. I remember Urban Meyer did that one time for Ohio State. It was a year where after 2014, so 2015, Cardale Jones and JT Barrett both come back, and he doesn't announce the starter ever. It's like week one, play one. Who is out there right now?
Right.
And they ended up rolling with JT, I think, long term. But I feel like Cardale got in there at some point.
Yeah, no, they ended up rotating a little bit. It was a weird year. It was a very weird year. We don't like to remember that year much as Ohio State fans.
Should have won the championship that year too.
Facts. Maybe if we didn't run JT Barrett like 40 times against Michigan State.
But that goes well into we're talking about next.
College football.
Yeah, baby.
So looking into college football season, again, this is a topic that a lot of you guys have asked for. I think Matt's probably the biggest college football fan of us by a pretty wide margin. I don't hate college football. I just don't think it's organized very well, especially with the expansion of the playoffs.
You are right on about that, especially now.
Especially now. That's probably what we're going to talk the most about. It's just like the playoffs. The only thing is, I think we kind of all agree that the expansion of the playoffs is a bad thing.
I don't. I like the expansion more.
You like the expansion?
I've argued with this extensively. I think 12 teams I think it'll be fun. I think the athletes will enjoy the fact that they get a shot in the playoffs.
I think if you want to argue from a fan perspective and maybe from an individual athlete perspective, maybe it's
the fans like it and the athletes like it and the teams like it. Yeah, it's good for everyone.
But from a league perspective, league-wide, it doesn't benefit. Like, no one really benefits league-wide.
Except for the athletes who would all probably be in support of this and are dying for a chance to get in this playoff and take down the number one seeds. I bet the athletes feel pretty good about that.
My take about this right now, and I'll agree with you, Theo, 12 teams is better than 4 because once you have a playoff system, nothing outside of the playoffs matters. So all the bowl games feel like totally worthless right now. But 2 teams and a limited number of bowl games. So where the bowl games mattered back when they did during the BCS. Because I remember making a BCS bowl and winning it used to be such a big deal. Not so much now anymore with the New Year's Six bowls. I think that's the best system. The one thing that's really disappointing, though, about 12 teams is like Alabama will never, ever, 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 ever miss the playoffs. Ohio State will never, ever, 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 ever miss the playoffs. Their regular seasons become super, super boring when just 10 years ago, it was every game, life or death, do or die, changes the outcome of your season. I think that's what makes college football super fun. And I'm disappointed to see it go.
I would agree with you that I agree with the 2-team thing, but from 4 to 12, because I feel like a lot of teams that aren't Clemson, I feel like power got so consolidated at the top with 4 when it was like LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. And for every other team, it was like the playoffs were just kind of this far-fetched goal. And now that you can get a shot at this and really, win or die, go home in these playoffs, I feel like it may not matter as much for a couple teams at the very top, those 5. But I feel like every other team, as like an ASU fan, it's like, I feel like we're ranked 25 right now. We could get a shot to, play a team that we would never be able to play. And we would get a shot. And I don't know if it'll win. I don't know if we'll win, but it would be fun to win one or 2 games.
I can tell you right now, ASU is not going to go beat Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson back to back to back. And this is the problem. Like, I want to convince myself that this is going to be like some March Madness stuff, or like even the NFL, where it's just you get in and you can figure it out. But if Alabama and Clemson and whoever are so unbeatable that we can't stop them from going undefeated and being a top 4 or top 2 team, then adding more games, just changing which games are the ones that are do or die by expanding the playoffs, I don't think that's going to make it any easier.
But like March Madness, right? That's 64 teams get in. So like, how bad does like?
It's about
Gonzaga
how easy it is
to be
pull off an upset.
I know that.
Also with March Madness, the number 1 seed has won the championship like 7 of the last 10 times.
But that doesn't make it useless for the 16 seeds to be there, you know? That's my thing.
Well, the thing is that what you got to get in your head is like, or what everyone's going to have to like start accepting is like making the playoffs is an accomplishment. Like we made the playoffs on a banner, right? Mm-hmm. Because, and if you can get it to where people will accept that like just making the playoffs is an accomplishment, because like take the NFL, for example, it's not viewed as an accomplishment to make the playoffs that you like put on a banner. March Madness, it is. There's a big difference between those two things.
And March college football will be more like March Madness than the NFL football, I think.
I think that March Madness does really well with all the tiers, but I really don't think it's going to quite hit that same number. I do think there's going to be upsets, but it'll be like Georgia beating Alabama, LSU beating Alabama.
Yeah.
Probably not Cincinnati beating Alabama, fortunately.
I think all that needs to happen is one team outside of the top. One team. All it takes is one team out of the top 4 beating a top 4 team, and people will say that was worth it. All it takes is one. I bet you one will happen almost every single year. We will see.
If a number 5
I think even if it's a number, because they had a shot before, and now they do. So if number 5 beats number 4, people will be like, that was worth it. Because that would not have happened before, and that was exciting to watch, and that was an upset. And every single year, you're going to see those upsets.
People will say that, but it won't be more exciting because the entire regular season is ruined. This is 12-team playoff. It's much worse. I'm an Ohio State fan, for example. A regular season's boring as hell now. We're going to make it every single year.
But for every other team, it's more exciting now.
Well, here's the thing, though. The biggest team, like Ohio State, is the biggest team in college football. And making a new playoff system that makes their entire regular season boring is not something you just be like, well, whatever. That's not well, whatever. That sucks. And I'm not dumb for saying that it sucks. This is better for the casual fan because it limits the number of games you have that are like the big ones that matter a ton. Now the regular season matters a lot less. So you can just, it's easier for just the playoffs, just like with March Madness. And March Madness is fantastic. But be honest, how many, if we took away March Madness, it's really for like the more casual college basketball fan. I'm a more casual college basketball fan. And I'm not saying that we should take away March Madness, but I feel like what made college football so special is that there were 2 things. Is like you had bowl games, so you didn't have to win it all for it to feel like you still accomplished something. And it felt like every regular season game mattered so much. And it's not going to feel like that anymore. And I don't like that.
I think that's all valid. And I think every diehard, or not everyone, but a lot of diehard college. But again, it's like follow the casual fan does dictate things. And it's like, as someone who is a casual college football fan, I think the playoffs are going to be hype. that's about all as far as it gets.
I'm fine with that, but I keep getting called a casual fan for saying that like there was a time when bowl games mattered and stuff, and it really did used to be that way.
No, they did used to matter.
Like this sucks for the Rose Bowl. Nobody cares, but this sucks for the Rose Bowl. It does. It's really not good for those big major classic bowls. I'm not like a huge like tradition guy with most things, but with college football, it's sick. And I don't know. I just went on kind of like a rant. I probably said college football is ruined now. It's not, but it definitely is worse. It's definitely worse. And the super conferences, this stinks. It's not, I don't like it. I don't care.
I would agree. And I feel like, they've opened the NCAA is a terrorist organization. Like the NCAA sucks.
A terrorist organization?
Not really, but they're bad. Like I hate them. And there was a story I was told by the editor in chief of a pretty high ranking like news organization, but I don't know if I should reveal its identity. So I don't know if he can get in trouble for telling us this. But he was like, when COVID hit, March Madness got canceled, right? And like, that was a big revenue generator for the NCAA, obviously. And now that was gone, that's a lot of money that's missing from their year. And they should have had backup funds to like be able to cover this, but they spent all their backup funds fighting like lawsuits about players like selling their autographs. And so they didn't have any of this money. And people were like, what? Like in the industry were like, what? So it's like that's stuff horrible. Like that. Like the NCAA was so poorly run and so bad that like eventually people are just, I think, gonna like secede from the entire NCAA, especially now that players like advertise.
I don't know. I think I think if you really want to point your finger at what's made college football kind of not awesome recently, I'm going to blame teams that should be good and should be competitive that are not. Florida State needs to be better. Texas should no. If Florida State, Texas, USC, yes, dude. No. How many times? Oh, we have to watch Clemson every year. Well, we wouldn't if the other powerhouse team in the ACC could get their shit together, but they can't, and it's boring. And
I've always said I think there is one of the main reasons why I don't like the playoffs is I think there is a huge talent gap in college football, and not just like players, but coaching too. Like there are 3 top coaches. And I think Ryan Day, Dabo Swinney, and Nick Saban. And then after that, I just don't see there is a huge drop off in talent outside like the top 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But it didn't used to be this bad. And I really think the playoffs allowing teams to blow a game like Alabama and still get in made them so much more top heavy because they had so much bigger of an advantage. Look at Clemson right now. Look at the talent gap in the ACC. A couple years ago, the entirety of the ACC did not beat a single ranked team outside of the ACC. Their only ranked win as an entire conference was against Virginia, who was in their conference, the 25th ranked team with 5 losses.
Yes.
Bad.
It's a mess. And that's a little bit of why I support the going to 12 from 4. And I know that we're not really arguing about anything right now because I think we all agree 12 is good.
I support going from 12 to 4. I liked how it was.
Okay, so we kind of agree. We're arguing over nothing.
I guess I'm leaning.
It's like they needed to change something because like it is just so like Clemson.
It's so bad. 4 teams
so
is so bad. But I wish people would realize it's like 4 teams. That's what has ruined. That's what not ruined. Made it worse. That's what's made college football so much worse. It's that it's the playoffs' fault. And I know the big argument against the BCS is or not even the BCS, just 2 teams in the national championship is sometimes a team could get screwed over. And that does suck, but it would make things more exciting. It makes things more tense. You can go on you still have to schedule tough opponents. You need to go win games by a bunch. And I honestly think that you can expand to any amount of games, and you're always going to have somebody getting
someone's always going to get screwed over.
What happened in 2014? You guys remember that? I mean, that was probably the best year that college football playoffs has had. And I know I'm an Ohio State fan saying
their first year,
it was the first year. This guy, right? But seriously, Ohio State loses a game early. That was a college football playoffs working to perfection. Ohio State loses a game early. They come back. They're a super talented, super strong team. They fight their way back. They end up needing, their last week or so, they need to figure out something. They beat Wisconsin by 60 in the Big Ten Championship, sneak in, beat Bama as the underdogs. That was sick.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was one of the coolest moments that the college football playoffs have had. And now it just feels, Theo,
I was rooting for Wisconsin in that game, so that moment sucked.
Theo, you were so confident of the national title game. Like you knew who was winning.
Right.
Ohio State Clemson was the most exciting game of the playoffs last year. I mean, and how many we've got 4 teams. How many playoff games
Notre Dame was
in
the playoffs.
Yeah. How many playoff games do we have where it's like this isn't even a competition? And these are the 4 best teams. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it was like by a wide margin, Alabama was going to win that. How do you guys feel about transfer rules? I guess
I don't know anything about them.
This might be more a question for Matt. I agree with you, Matt. I think it's really good. I was talking to someone. I was at a party the other day, and I was talking to someone about these transfer rules.
Ruining the party.
Yeah,
I was at this party talking about transfer rules.
No, there's like the Twitter.
There's this
meme
girl
of
there.
Theo.
She was really digging the conversation.
There's like the Twitter meme of Theo like talking to a girl, and it's like, well, you see, like
it's just.
So I'm sure the reason this play worked was because like the cover 2 fell apart.
I just had a very enlightening conversation with a friend. Look, okay, yeah, keep going. Funny.
But yeah, no, he was just like, yeah, I don't really like it because like a quarterback will come in, realize he's not starting right away, and then transfer. And I'm like, yeah, as they should.
I mean, it's good for player empowerment. And in a league where the players make no money, I'm pro player empowerment.
Also, it spreads the talent around. Like if Alabama has 4 good quarterbacks, it's better for them to separate that.
I kind of don't think that it does that much though. I think the one thing that the transfer rule has done is made it so where I'm a top recruit. I'm going to go to Ohio State, even if I don't have that great a shot of starting, because no harm, no foul if I don't. There's no fear in not starting anymore because you can go somewhere where you're guaranteed to afterwards if it doesn't work. That's happened a lot. Ohio State has and not just OSU. That's just the team I know the best, so I use them as an example. They'll get like 1 trillion receivers. There's no way that they can play all these guys. And knowing that those guys are probably going to end up transferring. A lot of those guys know that. So I do kind of think that it makes it even more top-heavy.
It might hurt recruiting, but I don't think it does make it top. I think this will do a better job of helping parity. If you go to Ohio State and you realize that you're not going to start right, you're not going to start for like 3 years. You're like, okay, let me see where else I can go. Maybe you go to like Wisconsin.
But the decision doesn't start when you're at Ohio State. It starts before then. So now instead, Ohio State, if I'm a recruit and I'm having to choose between Ohio State or Wisconsin, well, maybe there's only a 30% chance I start at Ohio State versus 100% at Wisconsin. If the transfer rules were different, I would just go to Wisconsin straight up. But since they're the way that they are, I can just go to Ohio State now. And that gives Ohio State all the talent in competition with each other. And it makes it even harder to miss on those top recruits when you have
if what Matt is saying is true, there is no excuse for Ohio State not to lose a game. They can't miss the playoffs. You can't not go there. Alabama, you're talking about like a doomsday scenario where like no other team will ever be like relevant. And I see what you're saying.
I know that the way I'm talking is over exaggerated a little bit, but you guys, I'm just doing that to kind of illustrate.
I agree what you're saying. I don't think it will be. I think everything will be more.
Well,
fun,
when I say like Alabama and Ohio State will never miss the playoffs. If it was 12 teams, they would have missed a combined one time. And there's been some times where Ohio State has particularly not deserved to make the playoffs. And because it was 14, this is the one advantage that 4 teams have over 12. Like Ohio State blew a game to Iowa, blew a game to Purdue. They make the playoffs both those seasons in 12 team. That is not cool. It honestly isn't. I feel like because if you can just blow a game to an unranked team, then the stakes are so much lower. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that as a fan of a team that has a reasonable shot to win it all, and a lot of teams don't. But
yeah, I've heard a lot of people that say they would rather just get the opportunity to go watch their team play in a playoff game. And at first I was thinking like, okay, just watch on TV, right? But there are legitimately people that were like, I know, I want to like go and see my team play.
Now, I'll say this. The 12-team proposal did have home games in the playoffs for the first round. Yes. And Cincinnati would have hosted Georgia at Nippert.
And I gotta say, awesome. That would have been cool.
That would have been sick. So I can't say that wouldn't be super sweet as like a student to be able to go to a home playoff game. ASU, yeah, I'm gonna like that. Like
ASU, at Sun Devil Stadium, it would be. Mill Avenue.
Can't wait for Miami to host Ohio
Mill
State.
Avenue, Tempe after an Arizona State football win will be a. I don't even know what it'll be. It'll be scary. It'll be scary hours for the rest of Arizona.
Can't wait for Miami to host Bama.
It'll glow. You'll be able to see it from space. Anyway, we talked a lot about the politics of college football.
I'm being the guy who's like, actually,
the overall
we had the Rose Bowl. It's like, I know how that sounds.
And like the overall philosophy behind how the sport should function. Let's get into a little bit of like who we think is going to be good and like the players and the teams.
Talk about like actual football.
Yes.
It's interesting. I know Theo, you're like, there should be no excuse for Ohio State the way Matt's talking, but like unironically,
they probably make the playoffs this year.
Oh, not even make the playoffs. Like probably should be in the national championship.
Win it all might be a little tough.
Win it all might be tough, but I think they can get there.
The quarterback situation is tough. They're very green. They're playing Oregon week 2. That's a tough one.
I guess.
If they can figure that out.
They might have the 2 best receivers in college football.
I'm very high on Olave and Wilson. I don't know if they're the best two. Both of those guys are going to be fantastic in the NFL. I can tell you right now.
I know a lot of people believe that Olave is wide receiver 1 in college.
He should have gone. He should have gone out. Yeah, I don't know why.
I thought he was going.
We're talking about too much Ohio State. I want to talk about guys who are not at Ohio State. I don't care. Who are some teams, sleeper team, like Ohio State might win the championship. Teams? Good call. Who are some teams that you like that are not Ohio State, or maybe some more sleeper teams that are outside like the traditional top 6 or 7?
I mean, any given team or any given year, Georgia can figure it out against Alabama and get in there. SEC is just crazy tough right now.
It is.
Cincinnati.
You're right.
You want a sleeper team? This is the most interesting sleeper team for sure. I think that Ritter probably has at least a puncher's chance at Heisman. I thought he was very good last year. I thought he was going to come out. He didn't. Team's very talented right now, and Cincinnati plays the big game that they need to. And I understand that if Cincinnati makes the playoffs, they're not going to win at all, most likely. But I really want to see the discourse if Cincinnati beats Notre Dame and they go undefeated. What would happen? Because at that point, it's like they'd have to let them in, or they'd have to admit they'd never let in a group of 5 team.
They would let them in. I mean, they almost beat Georgia last year.
They really...
I don't think the college football playoff, like they've got 12 teams. They'd probably be like, yeah, they'd probably be like, yeah, with 12, we've got enough.
If they
I'm talking about this year with 4.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Fair.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought Cincy was going to get a shot. I was like
with 4.
I was feeling confident for like a short second, and then I don't know.
It depends a lot on how everything else shakes out. But if there's like a 1-loss non-SEC championship team that didn't win it all in the SEC versus an undefeated Cincinnati team that beat Notre Dame, they're probably going to go with the SEC team, and it's going to break my heart.
Yeah, that's probably likely. I like their 2 like deep sleepers for me for like a college football playoff run. The first one is Indiana. Indiana has a fantastic quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. and a fantastic wide receiver in Ty Freifogel, I think his name is. And they've got a pretty good defense. They held teams to under 21 points like multiple times last year. Obviously, they gave Justin Fields hell. Very famously did that. So I feel like, in the Big Ten, I think Indiana is a team to watch out for. And the other team I would watch out for maybe is Miami, not Blaiden's Miami of Ohio, but the real,
It's not even
Miami.
the real Miami. Well, Miami of Ohio was a school before Florida was a state.
Okay, the real Miami might have a shot because they play Alabama week 1. That's their first game. And they'll probably lose that game. But then you've got a lot of time to like make your case since then. And they have a lot of winnable games.
I'm thinking that game probably doesn't matter that much. If they lose to Alabama and then go undefeated, they're probably still going to get in because they'd have to beat Clemson and win the ACC. And a 1-loss ACC team that beat Clemson with an Alabama loss is getting in. Yeah. If they beat Bama and then they don't beat Clemson, they're probably not getting in.
Yes.
So both those teams you listed, I mean, I don't want to keep talking about, the big top dogs, but both of them are in positions where I think they can beat out the rest of the conference. It just comes down to pulling off that one upset they need. Indiana, got to figure your way around Ohio State. Miami, you got to figure out Clemson.
Yeah. And Cincinnati, UCF is the other like smaller one where it's like they, of course, have been a thorn in the side of everyone calling themselves the national champions. And what year was it?
I don't think they're nearly as good as Cincinnati is this year.
Yeah. But anyway, if we're talking about teams that are not like historical. Also, my Heisman pick is DJ Uiagalelei. That's how you pronounce his name, the Clemson guy. I think that guy's a tank. He weighs like 250 pounds. He's just going to run everyone over. He plays in the ACC.
So more about Miami, Florida. The good news is that they don't play Clemson in the regular season. That's perfectly how you want it to line up for them because the problem that Notre Dame had last year, and they ended up getting in, but I don't know if Miami would, is that they played Clemson 2 times, and odds are you're not going to beat them both times. So Miami only has to go head-to-head against them one time, pull off the upset. I don't know how strong of a team they are this year. I'll be 100% honest.
Right.
I kind of remember them not being on that level last year. So I don't mean to go against your pick, but I see the schedule lining up.
That's where I'm at too.
I know what you meant by that.
It's like week 1 Alabama, and then they duck Clemson the rest of the way. Like I get they probably would get destroyed in the playoffs, but like the schedule lines up there. They have a tough game against UNC.
All I'm saying is I love De'Aaron King.
They did get him. They did retain him, and that was big. So
De'Aaron King is. I think he's awesome. Like if you want to talk about a guy who's like, there are 2 guys who I think could like sleeper be Heisman candidates. King is one. Matt Corral. I think Corral's Auburn. No, he's Ole Miss.
He's Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Matt Corral and De'Aaron King are sleepers, I think, for Heisman. Those guys are really, really good.
Yeah, Uiagalelei is my pick. He's 250 pounds. He plays in the ACC. They're probably going to go undefeated. He has a huge arm. You know, playing for he's just bigger. He's just an NFL athlete. He is. He's gigantic. I think he's just going to run crazy on everyone. I think that he's going to put up massive numbers. He did last year in 2 starts, like 9 touchdowns and 0 picks, 900 yards in garbage time and 2 starts. Like he's legit.
Now there's also, obviously Rattler is going to be making a push for Heisman. He's probably the favorite going in to the season. The only thing about Rattler last year, I don't think he had very good receivers. But this year he has one guy, and I cannot remember his name. I think he's Marvin Mims.
Yeah. Marvin
Mims is a beast.
Yeah.
Like that dude can legitimately ball.
Is Rattler your pick?
I don't think I don't know. Like I've been watching Rattler tape a lot. I don't love him, but like if
I think people are going to get a little burned out on the Oklahoma guys.
I think so too.
I think that's fair. There might be some voter fatigue there.
Who is if you had a Heisman pick, do you have one?
I like your pick. I can't lie, but you're getting mad at us for not picking underdogs. I'm going Ritter, baby.
Okay.
And here's my logic.
I'm mad at you for talking about Ohio so much. I feel like I'm talking to Blaiden right now.
Here's my logic behind that. A couple things. Number one, he was really good last year, and he improved a lot from the year before, like a ton.
You're ready for that Josh Allen?
He could put up some great numbers, but most importantly, he plays for my team. He plays for the team that I root for. And I'm picking him, even though a group of 5 player winning Heisman is probably not over like a 5-star Clemson quarterback is probably not great odds.
No.
Hey,
okay. You're a Clemson guy. I'm a Clemson guy. Though. Matt or Blaiden gave a non-answer. He's kind of on Ritter, but also not.
He picked Ritter.
I'll pick Chris Olave. I'll pick Chris Olave.
Okay. So much Ohio. All right. You want to talk about Donda? Let's talk about Donda.
Let's talk about Donda.
Do you want to start, Blaiden?
Listen,
I don't know if he should because he's.
It's album of the year. It's album of the year.
I don't care what anybody says. 2 of the other biggest albums coming out this year.
Don't care. I'm not listening to Certified Lover Boy. I have Drake blocked on Spotify, so I won't be listening to that.
He hates Drake, yet he's wearing the 808s and Heartbreak hat, which is just Kanye Drake.
Listen, man. Listen, it's my only like Kanye apparel, so I have to wear it. And I know you're gonna be like, "Wow, fake fan! You only have one piece of Kanye apparel."
That's not what I was thinking. Is nobody a fake fan?
I know what you're thinking. No.
Listen. Donda is album of the year. It's a great album. Heaven and Hell is a phenomenal song. A generational drop. And then you have Praise God, which, Travis Scott is awesome there. I don't even like Baby Keem. And he legitimately has a very good verse there. I don't know. I just don't, do you think there are any like particularly bad songs?
Yes, yes. There's several. The worst one is the Pop Smoke like thing they put in there. What was that?
That was a little weird. Yeah,
there's several songs.
It was just an ode to Pop Smoke. Like
I guess like it was
bad.
It just wasn't.
It was a bad ode. It wasn't
like
good.
It wasn't. They didn't pull it off well. I'd feel disrespected if I was Pop Smoke in his grave. But
yeah.
Look, I thought that it was okay. There were a lot of songs that I thought were pretty good. That were okay. I would say there's nothing in 5 months that we will look back on this album on and be like, peak Kanye right there. I think that sonically, the beats were about as low of a level as it gets in terms of a Kanye album, and the lyrics were about as low of a level as it gets in terms of any Kanye album in any Like, except for I have it above 2. I have it above 808s, and I hate 808s. Kanye is not a very good singer.
I don't know why you hate 808s.
Because he's not a good singer and he's singing. Like, he's auto-tuned, like,
I don't dislike 808s as much as you, Theo, but I definitely see where you're coming from. Like, and then obviously, I'm assuming you have it over Jesus as King.
Yeah, Jesus is King is a similar vibe to Donda. I think Donda is just kind of like, it's got a little bit of more Life of Pablo elements to it. And I love Life of Pablo, so I'm going to put it over Jesus is King. I think it has more good songs. But honestly, I might say Use This Gospel would be my favorite song, and also Follow God.
Use This Gospel. Yep,
both
those
of
are the two songs
those top two songs on Jesus is King might be better than my favorite 2 songs on Donda. Like, truly, I didn't think Donda had any elite.
Now you're crazy.
Really.
I think my thoughts on it are, well, first off, you hear a lot of people saying it's going to grow on you. You don't get it yet, but it'll.
Oh, it already grew on me. It's album of the year.
It'll grow off of you once you
go back. Here's all I'm going to say. Kanye fans told me. I'm a Kanye fan, but I got told, well, that's going to happen with Jesus is King. Never did. Nope. Did not grow on me. It's his worst album. And now it's not even a hot take to call it his worst album when day of it probably was. I don't think Donda's bad. There's a lot of really good moments on it, but each song, almost all of them, just feels really inconsistent. Like on Hurricane, for example. There'll be like moments of it where you're like, oh my God, this is so good. Or Moon, I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. But a lot of the times, I don't think that it carries all the way through the song. And I haven't.
What is the vision? Like, the vision is a tribute to his mother, and there's just not a lot of that there. Like, there is no solid message that a lot of Kanye songs, like the College Saga, and I think the Life of Pablo did this well too, where it was just kind of a message, it was just kind of like
it is Kanye.
There just wasn't much there. It
is Kanye with his friends making music. That is the tribute to his mother.
Boring.
He's just making songs, and there's no more.
He's making songs. He's got a lot of features. It sold a lot. He made a lot of money off of it. He made a lot of money with all those friends, and like people got excited to hear all the features that it had. It was bloated, and I knew that this was going to be bad the moment the first, or overhyped. It's not a bad album. It's above average.
It's not bad. 100%.
It's not a bad album. It's just for Kanye's standards. It's an above average. It's above a 5, which is average. I give it like a 6 or 7. But I would say I knew that this was going to get overhyped the second I heard Jay-Z's verse in the first Donda listening party.
That's another great example of me saying
this might be the return of the throne, man.
Jail. I'm like, I'm really getting into it, and then Jay-Z's verse hits, and
it's so low energy. It's low energy. The lyrics are bad. It's clearly, like, objectively not a good verse, and it's not up to Jay-Z standards. And I heard that, I'm like, this is bad. And then I log on to Twitter when that song first debuted at the listening party, and they're like, oh my God, it's Jay-Z and Kanye. It's Watch the Throne 2. This is the greatest song I've ever heard in my life. Oh my God, look who's going to jail. And then it's like, it's not all that. Like, listen, like, I know it's Kanye and Jay-Z, and I know that that's a cool idea, but like, listen to Jay-Z's verse. It's so low energy. It's not that good.
But it might be the return of the throne, man.
That's not a great album either for Kanye. Like, it's
Watch the Throne is, first of all, better than Life of Pablo. So
I don't trust your Kanye. Right? You have Kids See Ghosts below Donda, and the worst song on Kids See Ghosts is much better than the best song on Donda.
There's nothing for it that's really drawing me back in a whole ton as a full song. There's been some parts that I've been listening to, and there are songs that I like. I don't know, but I just remember when Ye dropped, I was like, I listened to that like so many times in a row, and it's not hooking me the same way that it is. I'm still holding out hope for it to grow on me a little bit. 100% that's happened to me. In fact, recently, Call Me If You Get Lost, I liked it when it came out, and then I love it now. And I'm still holding out some hope for maybe Kanye to fix some things on there. It does kind of sound like there's some parts where I don't know if that was finished yet 100%. And, Kanye did say it wasn't. So if he changes some things up about it.
he said that Universal released it without his permission.
Like, I 100%
locked the DaBaby part.
I really think that that Kanye wouldn't have put out an album with 27 songs. I'm willing to bet that he would have had some throwaways had you let him
Remote
finish.
Control sticks out to me especially as just a throwaway song. That there are definitely a couple that seem not. that they shouldn't be there. I will say some nice things about the album. I'll tell you my 5 favorite songs. My number 1 favorite song is Jesus Lord. That is Kanye. That was what I expect from Kanye. It's 8 minutes long of a good flow, good lyrics, good beat. I'm like, this is a very good Kanye song. I kind of felt the same thing with Lord, I Need You. He's in a good flow. He's in a rhythm. The beat is very good. Like those were the 2, especially where I'm like, this is very good Kanye right now. I liked Believe What I Say a lot. I thought that had some groove. I thought that had some soul. Really I thought that seemed the least kind of, a lot of it kind of seemed sanitized.
That song rocks. I said earlier awesome. There was nothing drawing me in. That song's definitely drawing me in.
I Believe What I Say, I'll come back to definitely a lot. I like to Praise God. I liked the way he says into the night. Like, I don't know. That was like, I don't know why. Sometimes like an inflection.
When Baby Keem said, let's get right. Like I felt that spiritually.
There's some inflections that he made that I liked there. Into the night. I thought that was catchy. And I did like the beat drop on Heaven and Hell. I did like that. Yeah. I didn't think it was like quite long enough or developed enough, but I'm a sucker for a good beat drop and a big choral thing. So those 5 songs I did really like. And it's a good album. It's not a bad, objectively horrible album. Like there's stuff that I liked from it. And if it was,
the percentage of songs that I really love on Donda is probably the lowest of any Kanye album. And maybe that's because it has 27 songs.
It's definitely because it has 27 songs.
But right now I'd probably have it as a 6.5 or a 7. I'd agree with that. And I'm hoping that it's going to grow on me a little bit more. I hope some of these songs I'm listening to and I'm like, this just isn't clicking for me, but it's not bad. So maybe I just need to give it a couple of listens more through, but it's tough when it's 2 hours long, 27 songs.
Right, exactly.
Not bad though. Absolutely not a bad album.
I've listened to it several times through, so and you're like, how? It's a good album. I like it a lot. It's also Kanye, and I've been waiting for new Kanye since Jesus is King.
He's 40. How old is he? I don't know how many more he has. Like
probably this I feel like this will probably be his last album.
I don't know if it'll be his.
Here's the thing, right? I said this yesterday to you
44.
guys because we were talking about like how graduation, late registration, college dropout. It's like the college saga, right? I think Donda, if anything, closes that saga. Because I don't think graduation closed the college saga. I think Donda does. Because
this is not about college. This is not about college.
No, but I'm saying that like
he's 44.
But his mom was like the only person that ever believed in him. So like this was kind of like
this closes the Life of Pablo question where it's like which one like he's got the people dressed up for church and then like an ass like which one. This closes that question where it's like he chose which one. That was kind of that he was struggling with on the Life of Pablo. I don't think this has much to do with. I think college Kanye has been gone for like over a decade now.
I don't know, but I think this is like a good conclusion. If there was one, I don't know. He's not like Lil Wayne where he just like makes music over and over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's done either, but I don't know. I gave it a 6.5. Matt sounds like he agrees. I'd
say a 7. I like it a little bit more than you. I think.
All right.
I don't give like I don't know how do you guys rate albums? That doesn't make any sense to me.
This is such garbage. I'm sorry. Our producer's telling us to get out, but all of a sudden this new thing where how can you possibly put a number on an album is only happening because of like what is this? This has not been a thing until now.
I've never rated albums. The only you guys made me like
you're literally lying. I know you. I'm your childhood friend. You're lying right now.
What if I?
You're saying that
you're not pulling up specific times.
You're saying that you could not call this a 5-star album. You don't have albums that you could like. It's just a way to like.
You've called albums 10s before. I've heard you do it.
Yeah.
Stop.
There are what was it 4? I said there are like it's the Carter 5.
So how are you putting numbers on these?
Because I'm saying those are the only ones that I could say are perfect.
You can totally rate anything out of 10.
Yeah, I think
it's like
it's just like a general vibe of something. It's not like there's a formula for it. It's like I think that this is.
I just listen to it. I'm like, I like this.
5 is average. It's like a little bit above average. Instead of saying a little bit above average, I'll say 6.5 out of 10. Like it's fun. It's fun. God damn it. It's fun to rate things. Oh my God. It's fun to rate things.
I just didn't want to rate it. I was just like, yeah, I'm just liking this.
But if you had to, what would you say? Gun to your head.
Gun to my head? Well, okay. Perspective, I ranked it around the same as Life of Pablo. So it's probably a 7.5.
Oh, you like it more than that.
okay.
You like
okay. I think
I'm
graduation.
sorry.
Gonna give it like
saying,
the same grade.
Okay,
you like
it's
it.
like
I'm giving it a
that.
7. Here's the thing.
I don't know. Okay, it's like graduation is 1,
You
but I
really-
wouldn't consider graduation as an
You really
album
can't
to be
give
a
numerical
10.
grades. All
Right? It's like I wouldn't consider graduation as an album to be a 10.
We're
even though it's my favorite
trashing
Kanye
the
album.
We're not trashing.
Late
it, but we're being more
registration.
negative.
Late registration is my second best. I would say graduation. Okay, well I'll say graduation's a 9. Late registration's like an 8.9. Like those two are super close. I had My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That's probably an 8.5. I'll give Donda an 8. I'll give Donda an 8.
Fair. All right.
Like what do you want from me, man? Like
all I'm saying is we were being more negative than anything else on the album, and maybe that's because we have such high
You asked me
Maybe that's because we have such.
I don't know.
Maybe that's because we have such high expectations for the album, or for Kanye, I guess. But like, if we're giving it a 7, you love it. You're saying it's generational.
The reason I'm being negative is because you're being so positive about it. So and then we're gonna give it like almost the same grade.
This is why I don't rate the album, because it's like it's hard to rate it. You know.
Yes.
Never
mind.
Never mind.
No.
This guy doesn't give scores out of 10, but he pulls 8.9 out of like.
This was an 8. This was
arbitrary. It was arbitrary. I haven't gone and sat down and tried to rate Kanye's albums.
Do the outro.
This dude said, "Do the outro." Well, that wraps things up for us.
I'm sick right now.
Disgusting.
That wraps things up for us, guys. As always, tons and tons of content coming your way on all platforms. Tomorrow, because this is a
9 out of 10 episode.
A 9 out of 10 episode. This podcast will be dropping on Tuesday, and we will be doing our fantasy draft live on YouTube on Wednesday. So I guess at this point, as you guys are hearing this, we will have already announced it that Will Blackman and Chris Long will be in the fantasy league, and that will be a ton of fun. So I'm sure that live stream is going to be a lot of fun. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go. It might be a little bit crazy, but it should be a ton of fun. Make sure you don't miss out on that. Preseason is in the books. Regular season is underway. I'm thrilled. I know you guys are thrilled. Don't miss out on all the great content we've got coming to you on all platforms. And as always, from the best sports podcast in the world, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.